I don't know, Ben, you tell me, are we ready? I've just gone live and I have no idea what. Oh god, here we go again. Good evening, John. Good evening, Ben. Can you hear me okay? And how is the audio? Jamie, good evening to you too. So Ben, you're my master of what sits on this. How's the audio? Jeff, good evening. Can anybody hear me? And if so, what's the quality? Luke, hi. Yes, all you can hear me okay. That's great. I really didn't know I buzzed too much, sorry. I do hope not, John. There doesn't want to be. I have a buzz? Where do I have a buzz? Are you kidding me? How can there be a buzz? Oh, God. I give up. I really do. I don't know what to do. Is there a buzz or is this a wind up? Because I tell you, I don't know, I'm not in. Alright, well, I don't know what to do. I'm going to take this off. No sound at all. Are you telling me there's absolutely no sound? Because according to this, I've got sound going through. All sound has got. I don't know what to do. So do we have sound? Do we not have sound? Okay. Have we got quality? Have we got buzzing? What have we got? Because I'm about to turn this lot off. Because I really can't take any more of this damn buzzing stuff. Okay, so has the buzzing gone? Now, what's going on now? Ben, I don't know what's going on. I put the lapel mic on.
No, you're good. Literally, the last thing you just did just then corrected it. When you moved that microphone towards you, it came on. No, you're all good.
But I had the lapel mic on, and that's what causing the buzzing.
It was, yeah. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, the lapel mic on. No, you're good. So, it was. If you're working on the road now, that's all good.
Yeah, I'm working the road. Is just in front of me there.
That's working well.
I've got it on the extension.
Yeah, go with that. The tie clip's got a buzz. Yeah.
Okay, right. Okay, we'll carry on then. Thanks very much for that, Ben. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Bye. Ah, dear oh Lord. Right, everybody, I'm sorry. Just when you think you've got all sorted out, I can't tell you that we, Ben and I have spent almost 2 days on this trying to get it sorted out. And now we have got it. I tried to do it with what's called a lapel mic, tie clip mic, and apparently there's some buzzing. I'm going to have to test that again, but I can't do that tonight. I don't intend to muck about with that anymore. So I have got this device. What I will just do, if I can put my hands to it from here. Yes, I can. I'm just going to cradle it so that there is no mechanical vibration in the microphone. And that can sit there. And hopefully you will get good audio tonight. So that means I haven't said hello to half the people. Hi Sue, hi Luke. Derek, good evening. Jamie, I think I've said hello. Sue, yes. Who else? John, are you still got buzzing, John, or are you okay? Because it should be finished by now. Everyone else is reporting good audio. Let me know, mate, because I don't know what else to do otherwise, other than stop doing streams, because they're just not working. Right, I am going to attempt to do this boat and see how we go with that. Right, Jeff sounds good here. Okay. Just worried about John, and I can't see a few other people. I don't know how many are on the chat tonight, but right, okay, so let us talk about boats again. I don't understand it, John. I really don't, mate. I've done everything I can. There's nothing more I can do other than stop doing these darn streams. We've changed the computer. We've changed everything. So anyway, I don't know. Well, we've got to carry on. And if you are getting a buzz, as John is, please let me know. And I don't know what else we can do, but let me know anyway. And we'll go from there. Right. Let's just put some umber out and we can start the drawing process. So tonight is going to be not drawing with a pencil as I was, and let's just see where we go. Right, now we've got as much smaller canvas than I had before, and I want to look at drawing a very simple outline somewhere around here. I'm going to make it a whole lot smaller, I think, this time, because I've got a lot of boat to get in and the small one on the other side, so that's going to come up to around there and off of there. So I'm going to make them, as I say, I may have to change some of these looks as we move forward, and that can come up a little further this way, and then just establish. The other thing I've done is change the angle of this and made it a little, excuse me, a little steeper, and hopefully that will take away some of the glare, I hope. Right, I'm just going to put that in there, put that down through there like so, and then we got the planing board and the little dinghy, so we're just going to stick the little dinghy, just a little line in there just to suggest the dinghy, and then we got the planing board on there, something like that, great big board, and then we come up to the top of the boat. There's a light curvature in the top of the boat there, and then of course we got the other one just that runs off to the one side. Now actually I'm looking at that, and I could conceivably bring this one a little closer over here, so let's do that. Let's just change my mind, just take that and run that to there like so, and just run that off like that. Just a little arc that side, because we can just about see that part, and then the other boat's off of there. Take that along. This comes a lot lower than I've got it. It's way low. It's down like so. And actually I've got it almost the same length, but I've actually made it that much longer. So I'm going to run with that for a minute until it suggests something else. Just put the planing board back in and just look at this other boat back in here again now, and let that run down through to there. The drawing's going to change. It'll be interesting, and I'm not going to do it, but it could be quite interesting to see how different these two pictures really are from the watercolor and the drawing I did with that, and this one for the oil, of course. Good evening, James. I just saw your name pop up there. I'm just going to move a couple of things around here, and there we go. Well, I do worry, Sylvia, because I'm losing viewers, basically. People are coming in and the audio's been quite bad of late, and people are not returning. Some of you really are, and I thank you for that, but some are not, and it's I got to get this right, or it's just not going to keep happening. It's got to be sorted out, and I think, or I thought we had it. The only difference, we had it perfect the other day, did Ben and I, and I think my boat's going uphill, just realised. We've got to straighten that out. Can't be going uphill, or is it? No, just an optical illusion, I think. Yes, so Ben and I worked very hard for both Saturday and Sunday at great length, streaming with each other and getting this audio, trying to get this audio sorted out, and we had it done. Now the only difference between that and today is I've introduced a brand new extension cable into the system. Now whether that's causing an issue now, I do not know, but I thought we had it sorted out, and yeah, apparently it seems that we haven't. And I don't want to carp on about it. It's very, very frustrating, and we've got to, it's got to be sorted, or it's got to be stopped, one of the two. We figured out that the main problem for it was the fact that the audio is picking up the fans on the laptop. So I spent a long time on Saturday replacing all of the laptop effort and everything else here, and putting up my mainframe on here, and so that's what we're listening to now, is the mainframe computer. Still looks like the darn thing is going uphill. It really is going uphill. What the heck am I doing? Me boat's trying to climb out at water. Right, let's just look at this properly. Excuse me a minute. You can probably see me just sketching this again and just checking the drawing this time. It really was trying to go uphill, and so is the one at the back. What do you believe? That's because I'm not concentrating. Right. Get this drawing, first part of this drawing sorted out, and then I can move on. Alright, well, Ben, I am just going to go and do that. Bear with me, everybody. There's going to be a slight little while I just put this back where it was. Hi, Charmaine. And a few technical difficulties tonight by the look of it. More than I anticipated wanting. Okay. So tell me. Okay, so it's got to be the ruddy extension lead. Well, I'm sorry, everybody. We thought we was doing right, but now we've got the audio back on top of the camera, and hopefully that will be an end to this matter. But I don't think the extension cable will work, Ben. So I'm sorry about that, but I don't think it's going to work. Righto, I'm just going to put that in because it is meant to be a lot shorter than that. Oh dear. What's crooked? What's crooked? Jim, what's crooked? Tell me what's crooked. The boat's crooked. I'm crooked. How about I have a stiff scotch and I'll come back next week. When things go wrong, they go wrong, huh? Right. You're going to have to bear with me. And I'm going to be a little quiet for a bit while I just try and get this back on track. Right, sounds good because I'm not saying anything, Derek. Right, just putting in that band of colour there. Keep drawing and redrawing this front, and I just don't think I've got it right at all. This could well be the first 3.5 hour to 4 hour stream ever recorded on YouTube. The way I'm going. Right. Good. I'm glad. Okay. Well, I think we're going to have to remain. We tried to use the extension lead to make the sound a bit fuller, but apparently that's just not going to work. It's a great shame, but there you go. It would have been maybe just a little bit better. Anyway, that's it. On the side of that, if we've got no more hisses, we've got no more screams, shouts, murderous signs of intent, then we'll live with that. And I'm all the time now just looking at this sketch and thinking, why did I say I was going to do another Thames barge? But I'm holding it up at an angle because it's very hard to see what's going on with the whole thing in that regard. And I'm just going to suggest the mast somewhere there, and this one is going to be somewhere about there. And the back one coming up there. And then this got the boom coming through there, one nice big stroke of shape, and that's got the secondary part of the mast there. And this one of course goes all the way on up to the top there like so, making sure that this mast is straight. This one will be at a slight angle because it is tied into the other one, comes all the way down through to there. And I mean, this one probably, okay, if I'm going to be super critical, should be maybe that angle there, something like that. Alright, we've got more brown paint on here than anything else. I might well be taking my time. No, I don't think I could do 7 to 9 hours, John. Not without a packed lunch or two, or even 3 packed lunches and half a bottle of scotch. Right, so I'm going to just suggest in here the reflection, just scratching it in. And then we've got the foreground mud here, which I'm just going to literally lay some dark colours in and forms just to give me some idea of the foreground before we move on. And what I haven't done is I haven't put in the suggestion of the horizon line, which goes through there, and for some reason, I don't know what's up with me tonight, everything is going down. That's just slipped into Ipswich, which I'm sure people of Ipswich will not be too pleased to know. And then we've got the hills, which I will just tap in through the back here, and it just coast over the top there. I think in terms of the sort of proportion, I think we're pretty much spot on. These lines are working out roughly where I want them to be. I think this has got to come down because I've changed the height of something else, so that will come down through there. Now you can see that I do draw in umber. When I'm painting in oils, I tend to use this colour pretty much all the time. I haven't noticed Wendy in here tonight. Are you there, Wendy? And if so, say hello. And Judy, are you there too? Charmaine, are you still there? Beverly, hi, I didn't see you up there for. Hi, how are you? Mark, good evening. Just skimming through because of all this aggravation. I sort of missed a lot of people saying hello to. I think I said hello to you, James. Thanks for joining. Okay, so anything you want to ask in the chat, ask away, please. That's what half of this is all about, so that you get something from it. And I'm just going to suggest the little grassy bits of the water there, and a little bit there maybe, and here. Now I am a little more comfortable painting in oil than watercolor. It has to be said. It is my first medium, and it's what I grew up painting, as it were, if that's the right term, and cut my teeth on as a youngster, teenager, and later as an adult. Watercolor I always did on and off, but it's something that I've really pushed harder in the last few years. But yeah, so that's really why it is where it is. I'm just going to put out a little thing. It's actually not bad holding it up at this angle. I don't know if you can see everything as you should. Maybe I should just pull that up a little bit and put that to there. I'm holding it, but hopefully you're getting enough from it. So you soon tell me if it's not quite how it should be. And the reason for that is I've got the reference partly covering the whole affair, so I'm sort of concentrating on what I'm doing and little more, just putting suggested reflections coming through there like so at the moment, and they will disappear to a point, but at least they're there now. Alright, so we've got a really big mast on here, and I'm just wondering whether or not that these are possibly too big. These should be of really the same sort of size, so put that in. And then this one, maybe not so bad, not so bad. Okay. Right, now I'm going to wipe off excess paint off of here because I want to see where they are, roughly, but I don't want them to completely over work the sky colour that's coming in. So I can see where they are, and they will go back on later on. Okay, so for the time being, let's forget the drawing, thank goodness, and let's look into the sky. And I'm going to go in with some primarily some thalocyanine blue, and I'm just going to start putting in some through the top, maybe a little bit more, maybe a bit of cobalt blue, and just come and see where that looks. Okay, a bit more fluid, it's a bit stiff. Glad you joined us, Wendy. I wonder where you were. You missed all the fun and games, by the way. The sound went, everything went. We had all sorts of problems, but I think we are now over those. I do have to blame my technical engineer just a little bit, although he will deny all responsibility. Hey Ben. Right, I'm calming down a little bit now. I was a little bit at the time, but we are over a lot of that. I'm just bashing in the sky as fast as I can. And we have got the clouds to put in as well, haven't we? So I'm just going to leave a bit of space there to put the whites of the clouds in. Then just bring across this blue as the sky. This canvas, this panel is a 12 by 10, and it's just simply 3 coats of acrylic gesso, the top coat being a coloured ground. So that's all that is, nothing that special. I can still see where my mask will go underneath this. I'm just blending this through, trying to get a nice fairly even value as this thing comes down into this area here. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow, but summery yellow, just to pipe up the colours right the way down to the hills. Just take that all the way into that area there. And although the photograph doesn't really show a great deal of yellow in the sky, I'm putting it in because I feel that it just adds something to a blue sky as it sort of descends down towards the horizon line. So I'm just bringing that and trying to blend the two areas together. I gotta say, on top of all this aggravation with the sound tonight, people, the reference photo that you're looking at, which is the one we used last week, as I was loading it all into the OBS, I've had to change the program, the edition of Lightroom was reading an older value on the computer that this was on, and so changing it over meant to say that I had to upgrade it. And what it did is it started to upgrade, and it just took so darn long I had to stop it, and in the process it decided to move the photograph that I was using to somewhere which I've not found yet. Consequently I lost it. It had moved it off out of the iCloud, which is where it was sitting all the time, and it's gone. So I then had to go back into the program and search like the devil to find this. I'm just running that, trying to even that up a little bit, and find this flipping reference so that I could actually do the painting. And when I normally turn on the live stream, about 4 minutes to the hour, something like that. And at 6 minutes to the hour, I hadn't still got the photograph in place. and yeah, it was touch and go for a couple of minutes there, and all of a sudden it just came in. I whipped it in, resized it, and got it going. But I thought, I just hope this is not going to be representative of the evening. And boy, isn't it just become that way. But I think now we're out of the woods. I'm just going to touch in some of the clouds and just kind of come all the way down there with that nice mellow violet, off violet colour. There's a little bit of red into that. So I'm just going to take that all the way through there. And I've got my lovely new dagger brushes that have come from Rosemary and Company, and they came in the post the other day. I'm really pleased with those. I'm just going to run that cloud into there, a little heavier body up the top, and we'll leave the area of the white to put in a little further down the road. So I'm going to play around with some more clouds than we have in the photo, because I think that it could do with that. Just a nice soft value of violet through there. Just picking out some of that. Take that all the way down to the hills. And just a gentle blend through. Okay. Right, enjoying this now. We are into the painting rather than the techie rubbish. You're not kidding me, Ben. Yeah, bashing the sky is extremely technical. I had to look that one up to get it right. I didn't want to mispronounce it, but yeah, bashing in the sky is highly technical. Right, I'm just going to bash a bit more of the sky in. And just give some different values of the clouds as they go through. I can't work too long on this part of the cloud unless there's more time at the end, because I've wasted enough time on this technical stuff so far. So we gotta bash on. We've got bashing on the brain now. Just a little bit bluer in some of this parts down here. That's indicating a little bit of heavier weather going through at some point. And leave that as it is for the moment, certainly. Some more paper. No, but you can actually ring Rosemary up and order them directly, Beverly. She is sending out. It's taking a bit of time because of the post up there is not being very, very good. It took 10 days for mine to come. So you really sort of think about getting them ordered up very, very soon if you want them. I'm going to use some of this cloud color and what have you into the water just initially to get that going, and maybe a little bit more of the phthalo blue to mix into it and make it move a bit more. It's a bit heavy. This, I don't know what it is, but the paint is seeming to be quite thick and quite hard to move at the moment, but we will beat it into submission. Another technical term. We will have it sorted out, and there we go, sorted almost anyway. It's just enough to get an idea of where we want the colours in this water to end up, and it's not set in stone. We can alter this at any point we want to. I'm just trying to block this whole area in so then we can really concentrate on the boats themselves. Picked up a little bit of that grass tuft, not a problem. Just deposited it in the water somewhere. And just take that through and just be a little bit more careful coming through here. There's a lot of dark passages in here, so I'm just going to indicate that there. That's all I want to do. A little bit of colour between the two tufts of grass. And just take that on into there. Now we are literally just blocked in. That's it. I'm going to leave it like that for the moment. Right. I need a glug. Okay. 39 minutes in and I haven't even done anything yet. Look at that. Alright, let's just block in the darks now of the two boats. One is going to be very dark, and I'm just going to literally put that in, and then having put the dark in will allow me a great deal of sort of area to broaden that out and put the lights in later. Let's just establish the shape. Take that all the way through that plate. Leave a little indication where the dinghy is going to sit beside. Take that right up into the stern, down through the back of the keel, down to where the rudder will sit, and take that all the way through to there. And the front is just at a slight angle forward as it comes down. It sort of sits just ever so slightly backward. And then we've got the the other one, the Hulk, that sits there. We'll keep that quite dark at the moment, and the idea is that we use our darks first and then we can bring our lights into them. And I'm just going to do a very similar thing to what I did with the watercolor, and just bring this sort of very loosely through to suggest the dark reflections of the two boats there, and they will dissipate and get a little less going back here, but let's just put a little indication that that's what's going on here too, and we can play around with some of these shapes and these posts, because we've got these posts to put in this time. And the thing is that last time I was doing those posts, if you remember, I actually I keep forgetting to look at camera properly because I can't see myself. I assume I'm still there. Am I still there? Yes, there I am. Okay. Sorry about that. In the other one, what I forgot to put them in, and the thing was that because you're sort of, you go in with those certain colours of darks, and when I did put them in, I didn't allow for the lights. But with this one, I can go in with the darks and then I can come back with the lights later. That's the beauty, of course, of oil paint. Right, I'm just going to suggest the middle colour and dark of the boat behind. And I did see that, I think this is Melissa, this one. I think that's the name of the red one. I did look at some of my other photographs just to check, because I went over a couple of times, and this was the earlier version when she really wasn't rigged up to travel at sea, race or do anything. And then the latter time I went, she was fully sitting in the sunshine with this one, fully rigged, ready to go, and she looked just the mark. She was really good. Alright, just going to see if there's anything else on the chat, if I'm not missing anything. No. Right. I just want to put that little bit of red in, and I'm going to use some Indian red and a bit of cadmium red light just to put it in, and put it in quite dark, but then it will come back lighter when we come and when we really need it. So I'm just going to put it in now like that and just leave it there. We will come back and tweak that later, and while I'm on it, I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to it and a bit of zinc white, and take a very dirty but pale bottom section to this boat. This again will change. This is just a base color in a sense, undercoat, whichever way you want to call it, and we're going to put that in like so, and that has to have a lot more work done to it. What I do want to do is just indicate the little dinghy on the side there and leave that little line there to suggest that. Right, now I am going to change to a rigger, my trusty rigger, and I'm going to make a fairly fluid solution up with ultramarine blue and some burnt umber, and just see where that is. Could be a little warmer, actually a little bit of natural red going in there. Alright, and this is where I'm going to need a steady hand. So I can see the ghostly image through the board where my things were, and I don't have my mole stick. I've taken it away. Oh dear. Right, I'm gonna have to probably lean into the shot a little bit with this. I do apologize if my head gets in the way, but I do want to put that in. So I'm just going to come in with a sweep there, a little bit shaky. We can straighten that up. Take that down through to there. That's not so bad. And this one we can see, and it will come up a little shorter than the other one because it's a little bit further away. Hold your breath. Almost in the right place, not far out. Okay, just going to stick those there like that, tidy up a little bit. I want to put this one in and against it and let that come in at a slight angle. Like so. Those trained people among you will recognize that sound very, very well. There's an eBay auction about to end. Oh, don't we guys, us trained people, don't we love eBay? Right, just gonna tidy up that edge a little bit. There we go. Okay, and let's just leave that for the moment because we've got a different colour put into that. And just going to put the back one on and just put that out through a slight angle on that. Like so. That's all I'm going to do for them right now because I do want to put in the hills. Now for those I'm going to go back to a slightly smaller little long flat, and I'm going to mix up a bit of blue and a little bit of lemon yellow and a bit of this just to tap into it and see what colour we've got, and that will do quite nicely. Actually, I'm going to put a little bit of cobalt to it too, just to make it a little cooler. And I'm just going to literally go through the whole of this area with this colour. I think it wants to be a little lighter. I'm going to actually add some lemon and cad yellow deep into that and just bring that through. Yeah, I think that's a little better. I'm going to have to, I think in future I will raise this up at a slightly better angle so that you may have a slight distortion to the picture, but I think you'll end up with a much less glare going on. If it's not one thing, it's another, eh? So let's just put that through there. Jim, are you still watching from the US, my man? Have we still got you on board, or did all that sound business scare you away? I'm just going to put that through like so. Take that down over the top of this boat here. Put that in and take it all the way along. Just allow for the rear mast to go in. And no, unfortunately not, John. I've got auctions that I have missed, and I keep missing them because I'm doing other things. I look at something. I missed I think it's a class 31 today with a chip in it, which would have been nice. So anyway, there you go. It's the way it is, and that we can't change because painting and our art, for us dedicated painters, comes first. So yes, I got out on my bike today for the first time in such a long time. Got Priscilla out of the shed, oiled her up, got her sorted out, got her basket all nicely oiled up with some wood preservative, and really gave her the treatment. And we went out for a cycle today, and I had a little plein air I did of May Blossom along the rivers at along Romney Marsh. Wonderful time, wonderful. I really enjoyed myself, got to say. I'm just going to put that in, just tap that off. I don't need to do too much to this end because you can't see too much, and the a few taps and a few things that make it look like trees on top, but all that kind of need. Doesn't need any more than that. And down here I can play around with some of the greens and some of the darker colors to do very much the same sort of thing, because it's going to be pretty much mixed up with some of these sort of posts that have got to be put in there, and very much the same through here, because there's an awful lot going on the back of this vessel. There is a sheet which I didn't put in the first painting, I've got to admit, but there is a sheet there from where I guess Mr. Webb is doing a lot of his work under there at the moment. As I say, this is when she wasn't ready for racing, but she has been subsequently finished off, and she's won some races, I understand, as well. So all credit to the guys who've brought her back from the brink and made her totally seaworthy and very competitive, I understand. Right, so let's bring that down through. Let's just mix up and suggest that there is some stuff going on the hills at the back here by making the thing darker but a little cooler. There's some sort of tall trees here which are going to put those in, just suggest them. Mine are a bit stumpier than the ones on the painting, I'm not too worried about that. And we do know that there is a school just around there somewhere. But we probably will put that in this time. We didn't before, but we can do this time. See, I'm working around the umbers. That still leaves me enough to come in with a dark mark later on. And just coming down here to the shoreline. And I'm going to come in with a bit more of the dark in one or two places, just to strengthen some of these trees way off in the distance, especially as they come down through to the shoreline. And a little bit of dark up around there, just mixing it up a little bit. There we go. I think it looks quite convincing. We're going to have a little rest for a second. Cheers, Jim. Yeah, I think I've got to admit, apart from the constant buzzing, this is the most traumatic stream I've done so far. I said to myself earlier it would be so nice to have one go, and I was so looking forward to this one, because Ben and I had sorted out, at least we thought we'd sorted out all the sound issues with this, and oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, never mind. Right, yeah, I went out on my bike today, as I said, and I went up the road. Do you know, I could not believe how many people were on the road. The car parks were full. People were parked on the curbs just to get their car somewhere. I could not believe just how much traffic was shooting by me as I was cycling down the road. Tremendous amount of people out there. I know it's bank holiday, but my lord, so much for this lockdown business. But there you go. But I shouldn't moan, should I? Because I was actually out doing my bit against lockdown, so I can't say too much. Right, that's going to be quite a lovely tan colour, so I want to bash that in now. Just that lovely sort of wood that's been stained and polished up, catching the sun. And the same for this here, which I haven't actually done yet. Now, a lot of artists, I will admit, when, especially if we were doing this out on the outside, as it were, we would be using a straight edge. But you can see I haven't got a straight edge, and I've really got a steady hand tonight. I'm going to take that all the way down there. A surgeon I would not be tonight. I'm going to attempt just to straighten that up. Oh, get it worse. Come on. Bring it on through. Well, it's not so bad. It can always be better. Well, I have to say, I tend to agree with you, John. I think that, you know, when you think of the schools, he's getting the schools going back at the beginning of June. I mean, you've got Wales said that ain't going to happen until we think it's right. Scotland has said mid-August, and Ireland has said September. So, you know, I have no idea why. Technically I can open my gallery up. So, you know, technically next week I can have the gallery open again. And actually I'm getting quite used to being at home. I may keep it shut. No, I can't. But I'm thinking about it. Right, I'm just going to put in a little tweak here at the back of the boat, just there. And these little bits and pieces are going to really sort of start bringing it together a little bit. Just that little pencil line up through the top on Melissa. Not on Melissa, on, I forget the name of this one. I did tell you the other day, I can't think of her name now. I put the derricks up later. There's a little bit of a square on here. I know I left that to the end when we did the detailing, but with the gouache on the last one, we don't need to do that on this one. We can actually come in a lot sooner and establish some of these lights and darks. What I want to do is come in with the darks now on top of the from these piles, these on the hard over here. So I'm going to put one in, and I'm not going to count them. I'm just going to try and get a good few in and established. There are a lot of them, and less over this side, forward of that mile. So I'm going to bring that down a little bit more. Actually, it comes down, and yes, we got this one here. Put that one in. And they're getting a little taller as they can, obviously a lot closer. More height on that one, and on this one too. Like so. Just put them there and forget about them for the moment. There's a lot more bits of information in there we can't really see too much of. You know, I see lots of little brown and reddy bits. I don't know if they're in part of the boat or whether, I think they are actually part of the boat. It's very, very hard to understand exactly what's being seen. I'm going to come in with a lot more blue. I just want to establish this dark around the top here. There's a little top part to the front end of the boat, like so. Then that comes down there, and we've got the nameplate goes in there. Actually, it's a little bit too blue. I'm going to come back in with a little bit of umber on there. Just take that round to there. Take that all the way around and down. Okay, now we've got that planing board to put in, and I'm just going to suggest that in merely in a sort of rusty brown colour to begin with, just a bit lighter than the dark that it looks, and that's because I want to put the ribs in, which are considerably darker and show up. So I'm going to put that in there and just leave that hopefully to just sit there. Okay, there's one each side as I explained last time, and what I do need to start thinking about now is looking at some of the lovely colours underneath. So I'm going to come in with, I did have it, that little brush again, tidy little brush, and it's got a nice flat edge to it, well, nearly. And I'm going to start sort of suggesting the colour under the back end of the hull into there,
and as that then comes forward into here, and a lot of messages coming in. I do apologise about the constant interruption. Just going to put in a little bit of pale orangey colour. Just try and define the edge of this here. I'm going to put that in. Let that come up and over to the top here. That's roughly where the point of the bow is there. And then just bring this all the way through. And actually that should be a little lower than I've got it. That wants to come there, and that wants to come like so, which means I've just got to bring the green of this down a little bit lower there. Just to take up the slack, as it were. Bring that through. Okay, that's fine. Because there's a lot of other stuff on the deck that we can't quite make out what's going on. I'm just going to bring that little nice light piece of whatever that happens to be on the side. Put that on. We'll put the tender or the little fender on the side later. Using England as crash test dummies. Yeah, actually, I think you're right. I honestly think schools going back is a financial decision to release parents to go back to work, less on furlough. Yeah, but that may be the case, but I don't know if it's the right thing because of what can happen as a result of it all. But hey ho, who are we to say? We're just merely the public, and we have to do what we're told to the better part. I'm just going to put in a little shimmer of light onto this black, a little cooler shimmer, and then that will come down and create the shape, because they've got that lovely sort of scoop shape on the front of the boat. And I guess it's displacement. I'm not too sure why it's there. It's all part of the overall design, I'm sure. A little bit of light coming here, and this is where I do get a little bit sort of putting in a lot more detail. Start looking for the details, start looking for the bits and pieces. I'm going to put the I'm going to just suggest, so I don't forget it, the anchor that sits strapped to the front there, and make some of this here a little warmer. It got a little bit cool. Take that all the way through there like so, and I want to put a bit of light in. Come back to some of that light colour I had just now. Just want to scratch some into the side of this hulk here, and take that into the edge of the front of the other boat. And it's got a bit of blue in there too. Just want to cool that off into a little bit of shadow in there. That's reflective, and you can't quite see what's what, but I think that works well. You can see the scoop on this one. It goes off at an angle, and that's been sitting there like that for heck knows how long. I don't think it's been touched. I'm just going to put the little nameplate on the side of this one that sits there, and I can't write the names obviously. Beverly, will your gallery demo resume soon then? Can't wait to get back to for a giggle. Well, that's a very good question, Beverly, and one I can't accurately answer right now, because in all honesty it depends not on opening the shop in that sense, but it's the social distancing. The thing is that, you know, if you lot got to sit in the audience 2 meters apart, then half of you will see what I'm doing, the other half won't see what I'm doing, and I'm only going to get about 6 people in, tops, if I'm lucky. And I don't know how that will work. I think the classes can't start again yet, as much as I'd like them to. I think they're on hold for heck knows when. I don't know. I think a lot of my teaching for the foreseeable will be done through the portals, like online portals such as this one. Just going to put that little stronger light through there. Yeah, I don't see that that's going to change for some time to come. It's a great shame, because my business, to the greater or lesser degree, is my teaching. Yes, it's nice to sell originals, and they do sell, but the teaching is a regular occurrence, and to that end, it's going to be missed, and it's going to be a struggle to get it going again. And you know, you got to bear in also, apart from my Wednesday evening crew, a lot of my students are elderly, and they are 70 plus, and you know, they've marked themselves into quarantine, as it were, lockdown, shutdown, whatever, and none of them have been seen. You know, they're just, that's the end of it for them. And until that all changes and it's safe, and a lot of them, you can't blame them to want to stay out of it. Indeed, I don't want to, you know, either catch anything or pass anything on to anyone. And you know, there's a lot of responsibility in that statement, really. So I'm going to put the other side of this boat on, which I've completely forgotten about. There you go. That's a little shape to the bow there, and it's in shadow, so that can come down like so. Yeah, it's a bit of a difficult one. No, it wasn't. It's not. That's not the name. I did have it. I don't know if I can punch this up. Oh, you're right. Yes, spot on. It's not Bellua. It's Betula. Almost there. Betula. Right. Just put that in there. A little dark mark. We're starting to form the shape up a little bit more and a little bit more as we move forward with this. Oh, I've lost my image. Come on, come back. Right here. No. Yes. No. Come on. There you go. Yeah, Betula. Right, let's look at this. I think this, in all honesty, is a little bit too long. It's a slight more angle than I've got it, so I'm not going to change it now. It will live. It's just swung around a bit on my picture than the photograph, but that's not a big problem. Just want to shorten that and thicken this part here. So they've got the band around the top, and then that will come down and get a little thicker this end here. And then we've got a lot of green and orange and gungy colours. I'm going to use a bit of phthalo green in there into the oranges, and just suggest the colour that's going up under there, and that will go and ride in against the reds of this part of the keel, or the underside of the back and the stern of this barge here. I'm just putting that in a little bit, maybe a little bit more green would be good, a little bit more lemon into that. Just picking up a little bit of light, but it is definitely that sort of greenish colour in there. I think that works. And that's sort of reflected out this way a little bit. Just going to take that out and drag it out. And then we've got the same sort of greens, a little bit of lemon, a little bit greenier. And I'm going to run that all the way along the front end of this here, like so. We can lose some of it, push some of it out of the way. Essentially, we've got that little green mildewy line sort of underneath the boat along there, like so. A little bit at the back, just going into the boat there. Alright, we're starting to build. How are we for time? Right, holding it back up again, and how many watching, Ben? Right. Just going to put one or two bits and pieces of marks through the top here. I'm not quite sure what's there and what we're looking at, but I'm just going to put one or two bits in that become a little bit more suggestive. So I think the top of this comes a little lower than I've got it. I'm going to put that in and up like so. Okay. A little bit of light and a little bit of stuff on these, and there's actually some here that I haven't actually put in, because we've got this line here which I'm just going to suggest now. I'm going to put that sort of just a line to suggest that green colour he's got in there, and then above it we can see sort of 1, 2, 3 posts, and I think there are a couple more up through here. There is definitely where the rigging is coming through, we need to put in those spar bits there and suggest one that side. They're very, very faint, but you have got some rigging that's coming down, just a quick tap down like so, and then you've got a sheet with is carrying a bit of I guess the foresail is in there, and not quite sure, but then we've got some darks of more posts sort of up and around here. Just going to put one or two other bits and pieces, another one sort of there somewhere. Right, 19, okay. 19 people suffering. That's not good. Right, let's just tap some lights into some of these now, because they are catching the sun. A little bit lighter, make them a little bit more distinct. Is the sound holding up, everybody? I'm getting a bit paranoid, but I'm sure you can understand. I hope it is anyway. Right, that's the posts pretty much sorted out. James, good evening. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully you probably won't want to watch this from the beginning. We had a little bit of a irritating start getting it all going, but yeah, it's nice that you've joined us from the US, and I have a family member who's watching from there too. Right, just going to tap in a little bit of sort of rusty colour that's along the front of this boat, just to give it that lovely little sense of light. And we've got the keel that comes down and around in a shape like so. This sort of comes all the way up and starts meeting some of the boards, and then some of this here has got a definite sort of rusty shape to it on this big panel, and it comes all the way up to the top. Great big thing, huge, heck knows how much that thing weighs. And then you've got a little bit of lines and sort of degradation around here. Take that all the way down to almost the water line down there, and don't forget these are sitting pretty much on the mud. The water is coming around, but it's not enough to really lift them up, and they don't tilt, of course, because they are flat bottom, so they will stay in the same position. They will just merrily start moving around at some point on the water. A little bit of a shade in there, and give that down like so, onto the back. There is a little bit of light just into there, and I want to try and get that, because that just puts a little edge to the back end there, and then you can bring it out that way, and that all of a sudden you've got that little shape, and you've got the reflection to that shape there. That works quite nicely, and I like that. And then I'm going to bring off a sort of lighter value here of the green. I do need to re-establish some of my blue. I've got a lot of blue missing, so I just need to put a bit of blue out. Bear with me. There we go. Yeah, a little bit of ultramarine never hurt anybody. I wouldn't worry too much about watching too much at the beginning. Certainly not not the first 5 minutes of it, James. I can assure you that certainly won't win any Oscars. Not that the rest of it will either, but there you go. Right, I just want to put a little dark mark under here and just missing a little bit of the back, and I want to put that down like that, and take that out and down. There's a definite shape to this really scoop shape at the back, and there's a little light colour through there, and we've got more of that green that's showing up, and I haven't made too much of that. It is quite dark down by the water, and there's quite a bit of that lighter green through there, and it's further given edge to that nice bit on that. There's a little dark front to this boat like that. I think that's about right. Now I'm going to lighten up this here and take this into the shape that it really should be. It's sort of lacking at the moment. Then that come round and along, and then it gets a lot paler as it sort of comes through here. And all the way through to the back. Okay. Yeah. Oh, well, it was. Oh dear! Just when you say you shouldn't say those things, Jim, because they then go downhill. I hope not. I had a clean t-shirt when I started. Now it's got more white paint on it. Oh well. That's all part of. I'm going to put a bit of phthalo green to that red and make myself quite a dark line through here. Like that. And that sort of dark comes up there. Actually, it's darker in the boat side there. Take that down and just drag some of that material out the way. There's a sort of cool colour which I'm missing. So I'm going to come in with some bit of blue and just tap where this was tapping along here. I just want to tap some blues into there, which is just picking up little bits of light. That's all that is, but it's just enough to be needed doing. And some of the same colour just up into here, just catching the light on the whatever the material is, whether it's, I think these are both metal. I don't think they're wooden at all. I think they are metal ones, and there were several types out, you know, from having a sprit on the front or not, and neither of these are sprit bows. They are, and they weren't built for that. Right, I'm just going to come in, I'm going to put the ribs in here. Like so. Get a little bit heavier. on one side, so I'm just going to suggest a little bit more on one or two of them. That's it. So that goes down into where that dinghy is going to be going, and then we're going to suggest the back of the little dinghy there, just touching into the water. And still, really, for me, the worst part of this at the moment is I'm not happy about the shape of this boat here. So I'm going to put the dark top round it. It may just come together, but at the moment I'm still looking at it and thinking I don't like you too much. I'm not quite putting my finger on what it is. I think one of the things is that I do believe it to be just a little bit too long. I'm judging it by the length I've got between these two, so it's not the end of the world, but it's just, it would have been nice. I think I managed it nicely in the first one, but not quite brought it together in this one for these. Just coming through with a little bit of dark through here, and then we're going to have quite a bit of warmth coming through. Yeah, alright, the first 20 minutes, I'll live with that. At least you're still here, Jim, and all the others watching away. I appreciate that. I could well have got a little bit fed up with the whole episode by the time 20 minutes turned up, but it was one of those. Alright, I'm just going to come in with a little bit of light reflection through here, and we can play around with that further in, but we are just looking at this at the moment and just seeing where we need to go with more information. Changing the brush up again. It's going to come in with a little bit of light reflection down here that is just suggested of that area of this part of the boat here. Tropical. Well, it is tropical, Luke. It's Ipswich. Doesn't get much more tropical than that, gotta say. And it runs, I'm going to run a line of blue through there just initially to see, because there is a streak of water running through there and I want to capture that. It comes up under there like so. Just going to leave it there. I can wipe it back out if I don't like it. It's not a problem. None of it's a problem. It can all be changed. And I want to put one or two other blue colours in, some of the picking up of some of the sort of sky colours, just tapping it around and making it a very, very loose statement, picking up some of these greens and turquoises that I put in earlier, just to let them do their own thing, as it were. Just mix up some of the colours in the water and it just makes the whole thing sort of glisten. And there'll be some a little bit of light around here, just working off out through the channel of the main river. This is, as I said, the River Orwell, and it heads all the way up into the docks and out through a place called Shotley. And as I said before, it's where Ted Seago, master landscape painter of the last century mainly, well, totally actually, born in 1910, died in 1974, and sadly of a brain hemorrhage, a brain tumour thing. Yeah, so if he made this area his own, in all honesty. There's no artist, no plein air artist that goes to this place to paint without thinking that, you know, Ted Seago used to be down here so often, and yeah, we all think about it, and we all like to think that we are standing in very many of the same places that he made his own. I know I do. But as equally, when I went to Venice for the first time, and I got to know a well-known British artist, Ken Howard, and Ken Ken Howard. Am I getting this right? I'm talking nonsense anyway. He told me to go to a certain place there, and it's exactly where Monet stood to paint the same scene. Now, can you imagine that? It's just amazing. And I did find it, and I did stand there, and I did paint a picture. And yeah, it was just awesome to think that such a great man stood within a few inches, feet maybe, and painted the very, very same scene that had not changed in hundreds of years. And that is just truly awesome to consider. Okay, that's a nice little bit of water at the moment working. Tropical, yes, it is. It is. It's the holiday makers rush to get there. Right, quite like that. Now I need to work more on the. I'm just looking at the time. We're an hour and a half nearly. I got to work on the reflections. So let's work into some of these shapes and forms. There is a lot going on here, but it's a little greener, a little dirtier, a little orange in there. All sorts of little shapes that are from the boat itself. And the wind action across the water will also change the degree. You can see that little sort of this area of blue coming across here, which is cutting this reflection out by quite a lot. And yeah, so there's the reflection going in there, which I need to lighten up. I do know that. It runs right the way through to the front there. Gets quite dark at this point. I run that in, and it gets a little darker, heavier there, like so. And I do need to, as I say, bring that a little lighter and mimic that sort of shape there. Maybe a little yellower. I'm going to have to hold this up a minute so I can't see. I think I've lost a little bit of the underneath of this boat, so I've just got to bring that back. Just a little concentration. It's so close. The two colours are almost the same from the reflection at that point on the boat and what is actually there. And the only giveaway really is a little bit of light and the way that this just moves forward, which is the opposite to that part there. And like so, because that's where the scoop of the hull is in the front. And yeah, I think that's probably a little about right. Just going to take some of that down, just disturb it a little bit. And come back in. There's quite a bit of greenish in that dark too. These lighting conditions in here are sort of throwing things a little bit, got to be said. But I'm not sure. I don't think we're that far off with it. Like that. And then just bringing some of these lovely shapes through here. Maybe a bit warmer. One or two of them. Through there. Reflecting the back end of the boat. Just mixing the colours up more than anything else, to be quite honest. And I will put the little dinghy in later, but not quite at this time. And I just need to check the dark part of this. It got a little bit lost again. I'm just going to set that back up. like so, and then run that little bit of lightish green, which I can still see along there. Pick up some and run it in, something like that. Yeah, that'll do. And just make it a little redder as it comes away from that mark. Something like that. And then it gets quite bluish down in here, which is the hull that we're seeing there. A little bit of blue, a little bit of umber, just to make it a little bit different, as it were, and just play around with that. Just don't want it to be able to see exactly what's going on. Just a little bit more red into there, I think. Right, how are we doing? Is everybody okay? I should inquire as to everybody's mental health right now. Watching this, he says. Take that through to there. And it's trying to get all this as a lovely little shadow of that boat on the back there. And that's going to be a little reflection in the water about there. And I'm going to put a little bit of tealy colour, not that colour, there's no teal at all. A little bit of tealy blue, tap of lemon yellow, a lot of white, and let's just play around with the little bit of this dinghy, like so. It's got a very, very subtle little shadow, little reflection in the water, which we'll just put in. And there's quite a grey colour, which we do need to sort out. Put that in, and along the top. And we'll put the two, and we'll put the two little fenders on, one at the front and one there, and that's all that needs. And we've got an extra bit of rigging there where the brush decided to deposit some. There's a little bit of a outboard, something on the back there we'll put in, and I'm just going to re-establish some of this white pin line around there, and I think that needs a little upstand there. Put that in, and again we need to bring that little pin line through to the back there. Okay. Now we've got a couple of very fine lines holding the dinghy in, so let's just bring one around, the other one down like so. It's all looking good, and the angle you hold the painting at is also better for us to see without shine. Yeah, I am holding. I'm going to actually create a rig. I'm going to make this base at a steeper angle for the next time I do an oil, so it hopefully will not cause such an issue, but it's one of those at the moment. We will get there. Kicking and screaming, we will get there. Another message. Right, I'm just going to put in a few yachts that are out on the water, and they're going to be different whites and different levels of different colours, like that. A couple of booms, and maybe a red one. Put a bit of red one behind there. Now these haven't got reflections in as such at all because of the breeze on the water is disturbing that, so we can't see any of those. But we will put in, if I can hold on to this painting long enough, we will put in 1 or 2 other little bits. There's a little boom on there, and let's just quickly stick some masts in. Like so. Then we've got those 2 little derricks on the back here. Just want to put those in. Okay. Now we're going to start putting in a bit more detail on here. There's bits that I don't understand what they are, but we've got the stuff that's carrying that little bit of sail in the front there on that one, and we will put a little bit of rigging in there to justify that at some point. What we haven't done is I haven't put the top part of this mast in, so here we go. It's going to go for it. Ooh, it's almost straight. It's not so bad. I think a blind man would notice too much. There's a little bit of something on the back of there, put that on, and there's a little bit of a white tip to that, and there is also on top of there, and on the top of there another, and there, and that's fine. Yeah, no, that's fair enough, Jim. I understand that concept very, very well. I know exactly where you're coming from. I have absolutely 2 functioning brain cells left, but the trouble with me is that there's always one of them on charge. So yeah, that's my problem. I wish I could find a 3rd one in there somewhere to at least give me a bit of a buffer, but unfortunately I can't. There's only 2, and as I say, one is always being charged up. Right, next bit of paper and a glug. I feel a glug coming on. Okay, we are going to put in just a sense of some rigging, I think. I'm going to put in a little bit of dark mixture and just take off most of the brush on here. This is where I do wish I had a mole stick where I could just put some pressure and rest, but I can't, so I'm just going to go for it, and if it goes horribly wrong, then it goes horribly wrong. But I'm just going to suggest bits and pieces of the rigging, and there's quite a bit coming out here. And on there, and the same on this one. Just suggesting, I'm not trying to count the whole thing out. There's one coming down there which is just going to be suggested, and another one through there suggested, and there is of course this mechanism through here which I haven't put in yet. Put that in, and there's 1 or 2 there's the link between there and there, and that lot comes down through there. And then we've got that lovely one that comes from the top of there all the way down through to there. That's got a little bit of a thick line, but hey ho, I can't help that. I can't take it off without destroying the painting, and I could try and play around with it, but I'm not going to. I don't feel it really needs it. It is what it is, and it's a nice study, and it will live or stand by that. Just sort that out there, turn it up to there. Put a bit of light into the edge of the ankle. It's a little bit old and rusty, I know, but I want to just give it a little bit of light coming down there, like so. And there's one or two bits and pieces on the top of this which I haven't actually put in, so I'm going to just put a little bit of light in one or two. That looks a bit rusty, a little bit sad for itself. A little lighter part in there and there. Don't like the shape of that anchor, so I'm going to change it. Come in with a bit of dark just to replace what I'm just going to change, like so. And you can't really see as it was, you can't see the true angle. You've got the bow comes down, which I've got, so I want to then come up with a definite piece of dark between the anchor and the bow. So there's, I'm going to stick that in there like so. That's good. And then just come back in and reshape this here to come out a little bit, and then a little hook there, which is all you're going to see of it at that point. Right, now then, well, James, that's fantastic to know that it's having that effect. You know, I can't imagine what you guys have been going through, surgeons, frontline staff. It is just, I take my hat off to you guys. You know, you've done so much to keep everybody going, and I hate to think where we would be in all our nations, not only yours, ours, but around the whole world, if it hadn't been for all the key staff doing their bits, as it were. And a very, very grateful public as a whole. Yeah, so, well, I'm only glad that if my painting helps out in that bit, that's fantastic. I really appreciate that. Just going to change that a little bit. I really got to start thinking about the foreground, haven't I? So I'm going to come back to this if there's time at the end. I just need a bigger brush and to start thinking about some of this foreground material in very much the same way. Yeah, no, that's a very neat idea. I know that I miss, you know, like you can't see your grandkids. I know I miss mine deeply. I've only got the one. My wife's got 3, and I enjoy them company, and I enjoy my own granddaughter when I get to see her. She just turned 2, and it's horrible that we have to miss out on so much. Right, I'm just going to bash this lovely slaty blue purple of the mud onto the foreground here, just to start with. I can eat back into it, play around with it, but I'm putting it down as a middle value. So I'm just going to come in and let it come out into the water as I did with the watercolor. But if you remember, like I've done here, we had the lighter colour down essentially, and then I came in with the darks, and I'm very much doing the same thing again now. And you can compare the two images, not directly I suppose, but you can get some idea of the two images as they were. I'm going to put in a lot more blue and a lot lighter blue just around the edges of this water. And it's just sort of fading off into the water at this point. It will come into those dark greens. Well, I remember we had those dark greens to contend with. So I'm going to put some of that in. Horrible stuff, slimy stuff. Got quite dark and gungy over this side, so it's not seen so much as a green, more as this dirty, unsightly mess that's in the water. Put that in there like so. And just, I'm going to tease some of this around. I don't really want to start putting too much of the blue back in. I can do, but if I can get away without doing that, all the better for it. But you can't ever rule it out, because you can just take the one colour just a little too far, and you then got to do a little bit of backtracking and repair. But essentially, if you're a little bit careful, you should get away with a lot of it. But this dark colour will then lift up these light blues that are all on the mud, as it were. And I'm going to have to raise my image up a little bit, and so I can see a little bit more of what's going on. Now the image shows an awful lot more mud and foreshore than I've allowed. I didn't have the room on this board to do that, so I have literally gone in with the decision and made it a lot less in the foreground, so I could get the boats in and make them the dominant piece in this image. I seem to have lost my support there. And I'm just going to come in and pale some of this up a little bit more than I have over here, just a few streaks through, which it's sort of suggesting it's a little bit of a wet or damp surface in one or two places, heading out to the water as it's trying to it's raising up. I think the pressure of the water is raising it, bubbling it through the mud. I don't know, to be quite honest with you. That's how I think of it. Let's tease that around. I do need to make one or two areas somewhat darker, so that when it does touch the water such, it makes the water really sing out. Like that. Okay. How we doing? How have you made that grey? What grey? This one down here? If that's the one you mean, Sue, then it's been made up with some pretty much the gungy material that was laying there, that some of the leftover sky colour and some of this colour that was laying down there, a little bit more cobalt went in. Essentially that's it. I mean, the grey is just an amalgam of blue, yellows and reds, and in whatever quantity that I've left them in, sort of carrying on with this. So that's how they've been arrived at. I'm just putting in one or two areas. I'm going to lift this up at an angle again, and one or two areas of light in here. add some of that light, and to that I want some of the original blues, and make that, it's going quite green actually, never mind, we'll live with that. It's just a nice sort of bit of light puddles of water that are sort of seeping in one or two places around that little bit there. We shall see some more, just softening the edges as well, softening some of these marks. There's some nice sharp marks over there which we can't forget. A little bit of blue into that, just take that back a bit, and just one or two areas here that are just a little bit wet, and they are sort of just eating into some of those shapes of the mud in there. And it's the contrast that's doing that, nothing more. It's the actual contrast between one colour and the pale, light and dark yin-yangs, as it were. And you can make as much or as little of this as you want. You can put another piece in there just to break some of that solid up, make it run as a little line through there. And you can, you know, it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be exact as the photo. You're just trying to establish the overall feeling that there is all that going on. Now I'm going to establish the light parts of some of these bushes, just to tap those in place to begin with. And again, you can make as much or as little of these as you want to. They look almost artificial tufts, little planters as well. But yeah, just little sets of reedy beds, grasses that are growing out of the mud, and two light areas on this one. Take that down over there, and then we've got our little one which is almost black because of the silhouette against the intense lights. So I'm going to leave that like so, and then the little shadow coming out there. And I'm just going to take one or two taps in just over here, which suggests that there is a little bit of mud still at large over there. It just shows how shallow this water's flowing in, and you know, and it's very, very quick. This is dry 1 second. You could be standing there as I was. One day I was painting over here somewhere, and I was painting the boats a year on, actually, I think it was, and all of a sudden I just realized that everything was sinking and the water was starting to flow, and I had to move quickly for fear of getting stuck. Just one or two areas here you can get a little bit fine mark and detail, and the actual great lead-in lines for the overall effect of the boats. But I don't want to put any more in yet. I want to put in a bit more final bits for the water first. There's a bit of dirty paint skin there, get rid of that, don't want that in there. And I want to come here with some darks using the blue and some umber to give me the dark base to these shrubs or growth in here, and a little bit of dirt that's shadow or whatever it is that's going out into the mud there, and a little dark mark through there, and another one just in here, and then we've got that little bit of reflection in the water there coming down, and that works very, very nicely. Okay, so that's pretty much done there. I might put some of these dark greens in, I think I will, that are sort of just breaking some of this up as bits of growth and bits of marks that are where they're trying to establish the weedy beds or whatever it is in there, and just suggesting one or two of those. And again, I can use them as lead-in lines. I can make your eye travel towards the boats by the very way that I position these little marks in this mud. Very useful directional lines. Join maybe one or two up like so. Almost scratching through some of them. Like that. Okay, that pretty much wraps the bottom part up. I haven't put a dark part in there, which I must do. But what I do want to do is really start looking against these darks. So I'm going to use some of the last of the umber over here. And I'm just going to literally put a bit of blue to it. And just start drawing in some of these dark marks into this reflection. And that reflection really comes down, touches these grasses here, like so. Very aggressive moves with the brush just to skip it across the surface a little bit of fluid to make it move, but then come back in and just make that start to ping in the water, and then that will sort of marry up with some of these darks that are coming this way. So I'm just going to scratch a few more, a few warmer colors coming to some of them like that. Just mixing it up, nothing too much, just a few lines. Okay, having done that, I now need to look at the vertical lines, and I'm going to start putting one or two of those in, starting here maybe with this, and just let that come down, tap away. Tapping it through that mud like that, it wasn't in the photo, but it's just actually makes that look like a puddle, which works very, very well. And just put in one through there. Okay. All right. There are. I got to put that in, haven't I? Forgotten about that. Let's just put in. Better get that done now before I go any further, because it's going to get completely forgotten. So I'm going to come in here with that sort of bluish green colour, and that's way too much. I'm going to put a little bit of cobalt to that, bring it back a little bit. Mix that up finely, and then just look at bringing in that nice green sheet that he's got on there. I'm not quite sure what it's for. We're going to put it in anyway. There you go. And if you want to put a little bit of a light source to it, you can lighten it up like that. A little bit of sky repair got to go on, I see. A couple of little marks he had there and there. Something at the back end. I don't quite know, but that hopefully will sort that out. If you notice, see how out I am. You put this in here, yet this should be there, not there. It's amazing how when you study something, you start to see all the little issues that are not quite correct. There you go. Hopefully that's in the right place now. I'm going to put that little fender down in near the water there. And put that. A little red one next to it, which has got a bit more orange on it, but we're going to put it in as a red. A little bit of red there. Okay. Right, now then, we have got a few more darks to put in, and I'm conscious of time. We are now at 2 hours. I do apologise, people. We've got some more lines to put in here, and I just want to suggest that we are picking up some reflections. I don't want them so obvious. Some of them are rigging and all sorts of lines that are coming down through, so I'm just going to make them look like that. And then we've got these posts that are coming through at the back here. And all of that is right there, and then we've got a little bit of this coming out through here somewhere. You can't really see that, to be honest with you, but I'm just going to suggest it anyway. And then in that lovely bit of reflection, you've got the anchor, which is being reflected, and then a bit of the bow at the bottom there. And I'm sure to have missed something, I know. I'm going to put in a little bit more. There's a little reflection of that in there in the water, just to take that through. And I really haven't also administered to a reflection for the little dinghy, so let's just put a little bit of something in there for that. And the didn't put the dark in under here either, so I better put that in. And there's a reflection underneath of some of that dark too. Something like that. Looking at it, it could be a bit better than that. So I'm just going to try and just make a bit more of that than it was. I think that's fine. And I missed one there, I'm not too worried about that. Just looking at it really at the moment, I can't see how you're seeing it. Let's just see how that's doing. Well, it's not the end of the world, is it? It's like everything else, with a heap of ton of time on it, you can do so much more. But in 2 hours, or less than that, because the first 20 minutes of it, we were messing around with the sound. But it's not too shabby. You can always do something better, but it's not too shabby. Just want to pump up some of these whites. Just making that a little stronger by putting a little tap of yellow into our white. And that's not going to work. Okay, there's a little bit of white on there, it would help. And that. And I've done the derricks, I'm just going to go over it again. It's catching that little fender's catching a little white. And we're pretty much sorted. I'm looking. I mean, there's always something we can do, but I'm pretty sure that we're sorted out as best we can. I know there's always something that you can look at and change, and of course do need to bring a little bit more light through on some of these areas here. So I'm going to come in and just change the light source on this part of the mud. A little bit of blue, pick up some of that, just bring that down in here just to change some of these marks. Okay. Keep looking, keep checking. Tidying up one or two water lines. And deliberately dragging some through some of these darker poles so that it looks like the water is sort of interfering with them in a sense, even through here, taking little bits of water that's running this way, and it really does suggest that there is water there and it's moving. Okay, and there is the white clouds, of course. I've completely forgotten to do the white clouds, guys, so bear with me for a few more minutes if you would. I'm just going to come in with some of this white and a tap, and the merest tap of yellow into that, merest tap, and I'm actually going to change it. I'm going to go change my mind and put some of the cadmium yellow into those, and let's just pump some of this information up. Lovely, nice, fluffy white clouds in here. Nice big broad brush for this job. Like so, merge some of the edges, but we want lovely white clouds forming. This brush is a little stiff. So I'm going to treat myself to a brand new, all singing, all dancing dagger to finish this off. Finish in fine style. That's gone too yellow. Not quite that fine a style then. Let's just come back in and just place some of these colours in. That's better. Much better. Tapping one or two lights off. Just want to give this some sort of haze coming out through here. It's nice, lovely, sweepy bit of white, dusty cloud coming across just to break some of that blue up. You can imagine that just lifting off like so. And down in here, there's kind of a bit of cloud that's moving through. Just take that up to the edge of that mask, because it does go round it and beyond it, and you don't want to lose that, and you don't want to lose the end of the mast either. Just subtly teasing some of these together. And that comes all the way through one or two places. Can't quite see how that actually looks. I'm hoping it's not too bad. Just taking some off, away a little bit. Okay. That's okay. I'm quite happy with that. So I think with that done, just checking if we want to make a little subtle change in there, which I shall. One through there. I think we're done. I think we're done. And yeah, I'm going to sign it. When you add yellow to white, is it lemon, yellow or cad yellow? Depends what I'm doing, Ben. Cad yellow is a great, cad yellow deep I use is a great winter white for clouds and stuff. And I use a lot of lemon. It's a case of really sucking it and seeing how you feel when you do it. But it is only just a merest little hint. It has to be said. Any more than that and it will just become too much. And you've just got to watch that. So I'm going to sign it now. And as I've been told, after a shaky start, your perseverance has paid off. Thank you for continuing. Yeah. Thanks for that, Sue. As I gotta say, it was a very shaky start, wasn't it? I'll get the right colour and I can sign it as well. That would be novel. Come on. There we go. Whew. I don't know about a Guinness. I think it's going to be a Scotch. Well, I'm sorry I haven't read too many of the texts that have gone on. What I will do though is I will just support this up a little bit more so that you can see that in a bit better light. There you go. Yeah, what can I say? It's the painting that nearly never was. And this certainly was the stream that really nearly was the last one. Thanks, Jim. Yeah, I don't know about how much I did keep my focus, to be honest with you. I did lose it a little bit. But we got there, and it was a well worth while exercise, I think, to do both these paintings, one in oil, one in watercolor. If you've seen the other one, great. If you haven't, then maybe go back on the stream. It's a little bit hissy, I'm told. Whereas this one, I'm told, is just full of fraught, temper-edged technical issues at the start, but the rest of it I hope is okay. So with that in mind, the cameras now are going to stay as they are. I'm sure Ben and I will club our heads together and see why the other little extra bits cause such a problem. Well, I hope you've got a lot of time on your hands, James, because it's not that riveting, I can assure you. Paint drying might be more interesting, but there you go. So yeah, well, it has a lot more detail than the watercolor because, well, I just start putting detail into boats and stuff when I get into oils, but and it just allows that to happen. So yeah. Now I keep saying it, and I'm going to keep saying it. If you are painters and you are interested in learning more from it, especially on my students, I have my students from the gallery, and I was hoping that more of them would come on board as patrons and start making use of that platform. And in fairness, I haven't reached out to all of them, and maybe I should do that in the next week and ring a few more up and say, look, this is available to you. But if you are a painter who is looking for some more help either in the form of full-length videos, fully narrated with a lot more content, or on another level, you can have one-to-one tutorial mentorship from me in the Zoom department, and I've got a couple of students doing that right now as well. Cheers, John. Hissy fit, I nearly did. So look at Patreon. You don't have to do it, but if you do want to do it, you'll be most welcome to join it, and it does help me financially to start supporting some of the efforts that go into making all these films, this footage, these streams, all these things. It takes time, it takes money, it takes effort, and it's one way that some people, if you feel that way, can get involved and help out. If you're not painters, I can understand that's not such an entertaining prospect, but don't forget the channel is there. I'm adding to the content on that every Friday with a standalone video and 2 streams on here each week, and there is also a Patreon stream on a Sunday. So there's a lot going on, and I am trying to arrange more out of my time to make even more happen in terms of courses and filming all this stuff, but it just takes time, and time is my enemy right now. But anyway, with that all said, I hope you have enjoyed this. I don't know how many we did have in the end, Ben, whether we stayed at 21 or whether everyone's gone to sleep with the time it's gone on. But thank you ever so much, all of you, for your ongoing support, your loyalty to the channel, to me, and your friendship. It's all means a lot to me. It makes the effort to a greater degree worthwhile, and yeah, and hopefully we will go from strength to strength, and get more and more people watching. So with that in mind, I'm going to bid you all a fairly good night, and look out for this one. It might be up on the artist pledge for a little bit of money in the next week or so. So as all my paintings are, every one that you see on these streams, and a good deal more besides, are all, not all of them for the £200 or less, but the vast majority, certainly all the watercolors, are under offer at £200 a go under this artist support pledge. So please, if any of them you fancy owning one of them, just give me a call, DM me, direct message me, let me know which one you fancy, and I'll make it happen. And with the sales pitch all over, thanks ever so much, guys. I hopefully will see you on Friday for another stream without hitch. Fingers crossed, without a hitch. It'd be a watercolor. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do. I will think about it in the next day or so, and you'll see it come up in the premiere part of my channel. So okay, guys, yeah, I nearly got that way, Wendy. Gotta say, I got very, very close. Ben knows how much we've been putting into getting this right, and when it all went wrong, I wasn't a happy bunny. Anyway, yeah, Ben, thanks ever so much for your great help over the last few days to make this a hissy free and hissy fit free stream. All right, guys, take care, and I'll see each and every one of you, I hope, again very soon on Friday. Put your comments down in the comment section when this goes live tomorrow. It takes almost overnight and half of the morning for it to process the stream to get it up online. So anyone wants to have a look at that, then do so, and put any comments you like in there. Tell your friends, spread it, and if you're not subscribing to my channel, subscribe to it. Hit the bell icon, and you know each and every time something new comes up. With that all said, I've rambled on long enough. Take care, guys. Happy painting. Stay safe. Be good. Catch you all soon. Bye-bye. Cheerio, Derek. Cheerio, John. Cheerio, Wendy. Ben, thank you. James, thank you very much. James from America, thank you. Jim, thank you very much. Jeff, thank you. Sue, thank you very much. And anybody else I met. Are you still there, Charmaine, or have you gone? Yeah, look forward to Friday, James.